MicroStrategy stock will go up 21,000, yes, you heard right, percent in the next years, according to Michael Saylor. He's taking a huge bet, taking more and more debt. And if you are a shareholder, or if you want to become a shareholder, or you are a Bitcoin holder, then this video is extremely important. If you don't know me, my name is Danny. I loaded my life savings into Tesla when it was an $18 stock. Now it's over 315. So I'm looking for big bangers, and I explain it very simply. So let's dive in by watching a video, and I increase the speed, and we cut to the chase of this video to really see how Michael Saylor in 2020 got into Bitcoin in the first place.
You have to be desperate, frustrated, nothing to lose. I mean, the truth is I characterize myself that way in 2020. It's like the stock is like $6 a share enterprise value. The company's enterprise value is $6 a share. And my choice is sell the company and retire or take a risk and open my mind. And I remember I'm sitting at my poolside next to my friend Eric Weiss, and it's March and the lockdowns hit and interest rates go to zero, and and the stock market's crashing, and, and all hell is breaking loose. And I say, so tell me about that Bitcoin thing again. It's like, so that's what you'll find that when, you look at people and they're one or the other, but it takes a while for a paradigm shift. You got to really need it or want it. And that's why it's an exponential process.
So you're sitting there in 2020 and he said, tell me about that Bitcoin again with Eric Weiss.
Yeah.
And then from the moment he told you, what was your step process of researching? Was it an all-nighter till 4 o'clock in the morning? You sat up, you're like, I can't believe this is what's going on. Were you calling friends? Were you doing research? What was your process?
I said, give me the the top influencers on the internet on Bitcoin. You gave me a list of people. Then I went and I watched all their YouTube podcasts. Then I went and I read all their books. I read the Bitcoin Standard. I read Andreas Antonopoulos' books on Bitcoin. I watched the debates, between Eric Voorhees and Peter Schiff on Bitcoin. Once I got through all that and I had done a deep think, then I started going in execution mode. How do I get an account? How do I buy this stuff? KYC me, set me up. And then after that, it's like massive education with my company too. Partly it was a personal track. What am I going to do? And partly is, what am I going to take my company? And that became, I sent a text message to all the officers of the company and all the directors. I said, I want you to watch these 3 videos on YouTube, and I want you to read this paper about Bitcoin. John Pfeffer wrote a paper, An Institutional Investor's View of Bitcoin. I said, read this stuff, and then we're going to talk. And so after they read it, I had a one-on-one with each one of them, and it was like basically doing the rounds, every officer of the company, every director of the company, and gradually we formed a consensus. We formed teams. We started to power forward.
And then you presented it to the clients. Hey, here's what we're thinking about doing. This is the direction we're going. Is that what the next move was?
It takes from March all the way to August 10th of 2020. And on August 10th of 2020, what we did is we said, hey, we're buying 250 million of Bitcoin, but we're also going to buy back $250 million of our stock in a tender offer. The stock was like 120. This is like $12 post-split.
So as you can see, since then, obviously, MicroStrategy stock went up over 3,000%. If you're looking into the overall performance of Bitcoin, it's even more crazier. But the question is, how far can we go more up, right? And it seems like it's currently on the market that Michael Saylor is taking more money from the market, debt, buying more Bitcoin, getting more money from the market, in debt, putting into Bitcoin. And we will talk about what could be his end vision for that. And people actually don't understand what he's doing. And I totally agree. And that's why we will dive into that. And there's actually a problem that he needs to solve. But before that, I want to show you another video. Also, a speed increase to show you the gold piece here. This is a CNBC piece. And I think this is telling a lot of stories, what he's doing and why he's doing it. And even when you don't understand, we will dive into a presentation afterwards.
Michael Saylor is here with us this morning, and I'd love for you, if you could, it's great to see you. Bitcoin's been a wild run, and boy, have you been right, but I'd love for you to respond to this report.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people don't understand our core business. We're a Bitcoin treasury company. We're powered by a Bitcoin reactor. We've got $35 billion of Bitcoin, and it's spinning at 100 vol. So the way we make money is we're selling the volatility and recycling it back into Bitcoin. And we're also stripping the volatility and the risk and the performance off of fixed income securities. And we're transferring that to the common stock. So our common stock is delivering 2x Bitcoin, 2x vol. So Andrew, if you want to understand the economics of this, we generate a spread. The BTC spread we generate, it's a function of the equity premium, the convert premium, and the Bitcoin premium. The Bitcoin premium is the ARR Bitcoin versus the US dollar. 2 weeks ago, we did 4.6 billion of an ATM. We ran it at a 70% spread. That means we made about a $3 billion BTC gain in 5 days. That would be about $12.50 a share. But over 10 years, that's $36 billion, or about $150 a share, just on that 1 week. This week, we did a convertible bond, $3 billion at an 80% BTC spread. That's a $2.4 billion gain. That's about $10 a share. But over 10 years, that's $125 a share to the shareholders. I think that the thesis of the shorts is if the premium in the equity disappears, we can't make money. What they miss is that when we actually borrow money at 6% and we invest it in Bitcoin, if Bitcoin goes up 30%, and by the way, Bitcoin's going up 60%, we're getting a 90% BTC spread, but it would be 80% BTC spread, which means the $3 billion fixed income raise in preferreds or bonds generates the same $125 a share and $30 billion over 10 years. So once you understand that, you have a different view of the company.
So what do you say, though, to those who say there's a risk here? Because this is effectively a levered Bitcoin position. And if, in fact, Bitcoin goes down, this becomes a much more complicated situation.
Yeah, well, the number one risk you take is the existential risk that Bitcoin has an extinction level event and goes to zero immediately tomorrow. But every long investor in MicroStrategy is a Bitcoin maximalist or Bitcoin believer. They've accepted that risk. Once you accept that risk, what do we expect? We expect it's going to go up 29% a year for the next 21 years. It's been going up 60% a year. So the people that are buying the equity are buying the equity because they want 2x Bitcoin, they want 2x vol. And once you accept that idea, you can see, over the last 2 weeks, Andrew, we generated $5.4 billion in BTC gains. We're making 500 million a day. I'm staring at my screen and we're selling dollar bills for $3, sometimes a million times a minute. And so it's not impossible. I mean, we may very well be the most profitable company in the United States, growing the fastest right now, because there's not many companies that are making $500 million a day doing what they're doing. If you don't like Bitcoin, you don't want any piece of it. But if you like Bitcoin, then this is a monster for you.
Yeah, if you don't understand 80% of it, let me explain it to you. So first, let's look into the performance Bitcoin versus MicroStrategy. MSTR had an incredible performance, okay? In 2021, we went up 40% in MicroStrategy. Bitcoin price went 60%, right? Then we had a negative year for Bitcoin and for MicroStrategy. Bitcoin lost about 64 versus MicroStrategy over 70. And then we had a monster year for Bitcoin with 60% up, MicroStrategy of 350% almost. And then Bitcoin price went up year to date 112 and MicroStrategy 509. Crazy numbers. And just according to that, if you are long Bitcoin, if you're a long Maximus Bitcoin longer hodler, then you might consider to diversify your portfolio also into MicroStrategy stock, because think about it. It's still very long Bitcoin. When it has the downturn, it has similar downturn to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes down, 50%, then MicroStrategy most probably go also down 50% or 70%, right? If Bitcoin goes down 30%, then, MicroStrategy maybe go 50% down, right? But if Bitcoin goes up another 100%, MicroStrategy can go up 500% or 300%. And on the stock market, there can be quite mania, and then you have technical ways of even increasing the stock price to very crazy numbers. We know that with a gamma squeeze, with a short squeeze, all happened before with things like GameStop, right? So now let's dive into the next point. So what Michael Saylor is doing, he's borrowing money, so he's taking debt, he's buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin price raises because of this news. Then his stock is raising, and then he issuing debt and buy again Bitcoin, which raised the Bitcoin price, which raised also his stock price, and so on. So he's doing it again, and then gets a little bit pointy. So is it a little bit of a pyramid scheme? Well, there's a little problem here, okay? If you're looking into the earnings of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor is a huge maximalist of Bitcoin. Unfortunately, his software business makes only $116 million in revenue. And if you deduct all the costs, then they actually make $18 million in negative. So they don't have more cash to put into Bitcoin, their number one software idea, okay? So what he needs to do to have more money to actually put into Bitcoin is those debt issuing, okay? He is doing it via convertible notes. Convertible notes is something that he actually gives out a kind of bond. So he says, give me $3 billion. I will pay you per year 6%. And at the end of the 5 years of the contract, I will pay you back the money, the initial money, or we change it into company stocks and you own $3 billion of stocks of MicroStrategy. Okay, so this is what he's doing. Those convertible notes are essentially 0 to 6% in interest rates. Usually payback is somewhere in like 4 to 5 years from now. They can either issue stock to the convertible note holders or they can pay back cash. So those two options. He put in the 55 premium option, which means that before the stock is not 50% more up, he has the right to give them cash, because some, investors prefer stock to get, let's say, the overall, opportunity to go higher and higher in terms of value for the stock. But he put in the value that he says, okay, you can get stocks instead of the cash amount, because then he controls the dilution a little bit, okay? But anyway, this is some details that you don't need to know so much. There's also a no coupon option. So actually he says he don't have to make regular interest payments to those convertible note holders. Makes sense, right? He doesn't have any money. He doesn't have any cash. So how he does, and he holds forever his Bitcoin. So how he pays the interest, okay? So he has debt. He holds it for the next 5 years. And the people are getting this notes out of his hands like it's like fresh baked bread. He doesn't have to pay interest in cash. And in the end, he can either give them stock or cash. So there's only one problem, because at some point you need to pay back the convertible note holders. So he actually needs to give them new stock, which creates a dilution and then stock decline for his company. He can sell all the Bitcoins that he bought and paid back, which would trigger a huge sell-off in the Bitcoin market. I'm quite sure this kind of news, right? He's the prince of Bitcoin. He can take new debt to satisfy that debt, which is not the best idea, because to satisfy debt, to take another debt, it's never the best idea. He can hold forever, or he can time the market. So as an entrepreneur move, what we saw in the beginning, he has a declining software company. He is catching the highs of 2000 when his company was, on the top-notch companies in the software space. He discovered the Bitcoin in the right timing. He puts everything into it. He makes a fair deal to his investors. So I will give him, from an entrepreneur side, a 10 out of 10. Well done, Michael. So my question is what he does as investor, how he will pay back the convertible notes without crashing the house. So he actually thinks that Bitcoin goes up 21% per year, okay? He thinks the current, yearly return was 60%. Now it will go down to 21%. It can also be that Bitcoin goes down from here for the next couple of years, right? So he took loan and he cannot pay it back. Or he just can, issue new stock, and then, everything comes falling down. But I think that he sees something what I see, and this is opportunity. I think the following scenario is just a huge speculation, but I think it makes most sense as an investor base, because Bitcoin makes no income for him and his company doesn't make income for him. Okay, so he needs to have income. So he needs to sell the Bitcoin. But here comes the perfect storm. Think about it. Trump election plus 4 years of Trump easy regulations on crypto and Bitcoin gave the initial pump $200,000. Now he's using the hype to buy more and more, increasing even the hype. The hype will start with the 4 years of Trump presidency, that we have a chance to see a $250 Bitcoin price in the next 4 years. There will be maybe a US government reserve in Bitcoin. There will be some easy regulations on Bitcoin. There will be some more payment option for, like, there could be so many things that the government can do, but definitely a lot of tax regulations for Bitcoin, right? There could be so many things that could be advantage that can flood the crypto and Bitcoin market. So let's assume that this will happen. I believe that he can then sell 70% of his Bitcoin holdings that he bought with the loan, because he has already some Bitcoins, those gain in value. Then those that he bought with debt gain in value. He sells, he pays back the convertible notes with interest. He doesn't have to issue and punish his stockholders with dilution. He pays back his convertible note holders with cash, and he still have 30% of the holdings that he bought with the debt absolutely for free and risk-free, which would be like a win-win situation for stockholders, for MicroStrategy, for Bitcoin, and actually for the convertible note holders. Then maybe with, because like it will be always wavy, okay? The markets are always wavy, always a new all-time high and a new drop. So he sets it to 50. He waits that, Bitcoin goes down to $80,000, whatever. And then comes the next hype cycle, whatever the news will be, right? And he will do it all over again. And he will say it worked the first time, it will work another time. So I think this is very interesting. If you feel that this video made you value, then share this. There's also a link into my description with our product where we day trade on the markets with the software, and the software does everything for you and your broker. We put in the trades. We have tremendous results with about 15% return of investment on our trades per month. So check it out. You can check and schedule a call with me, and then we can see if the group is something for you as well. And with this said, see you the next time.